What's up, everyone? We were all basically on the edge of our seats yesterday, waiting for the big reveal that the Incognito admin was about to start extorting buyers after already shaking down the various vendors that we had seen and there'd been a list of and all that. So to try and curb his benefiting, yesterday I even made a quick PSA about that very topic. This, of course, came hot on the heels of their exit scam where they just straight up robbed everyone blind. So it was after screwing everyone over that they decided to try and double down on those efforts to screw people over even more via extortion. And today we saw a bit of movement from Incognito on this very exact thing. A good friend of mine contacted me and told me that if you head over to Incognito and log in and type in /records at the end of the URL, you're greeted with a message that's either the dumbest business killing prank in history, like of the world, or the most stupid attempt at a cover-up ever. And no matter which is true, the one thing that is true, like either way, either one of those things, is that it's idiotic at best and asinine at worst, or vice versa. You choose. Once the page loads, the message reads, "April Fool. We're just trolling. Your data were actually deleted as specified." First off, the timing is just too perfect. Like, announcing a massive extortion scheme only to play it off as an April Fool's joke. It's kind of like robbing a bank, killing 10 hostages, and then telling the cops, "It was just a prank, bro." But here's where it gets even more idiotic. They claim that all user data actually deleted, as promised. This means all the vendors who rushed to pay the admin were actually robbed a second time. This is why we don't trust people who rob us and then tell us a story afterward to get more money. Like, after pulling off an exit scam and threatening basically to dox, like a high-level dox, threatening to dox people, the admin expected people to just take his word for it, and it worked out pretty well, as many vendors did actually pay the ransom that was demanded. But the whole "it was a joke" thing just adds insult to injury all over again for those vendors who did actually pay the ransom. It showed that vendors could absolutely be scared into paying, which really made no sense if you stopped and thought about it, considering even something like an address, presumably the most sensitive form of info, is still useless. And we've covered this before in prior videos. If you knew nothing about the law, then one way you could show your ignorance would be to pay it, thinking you're protecting your customers. The second thing that it showed was that there are actually some vendors out there who would pay to keep their customers safe. This is actually kind of it's an interesting paradox that you have these two. It's kind of like sweet and salty, where you have these contradictions. Which is true? Why did XYZ vendor pay? We'll never know. But I think those are the two main reasons that I would cite that these vendors actually paid, either fear or attempting to have their customers back, which again, the latter makes no sense, but the former, without a doubt, is a bad thing, and it shows an extreme weakness for darknet market vendors. That said, I do have to say that the vendors who did pay it because they thought they were actually protecting their customers do deserve a round of applause, because you have Fortune 100 companies who don't care enough to pay anything to protect customers, or never mind like 10 grand. Now, if I had still been a darknet vendor I wouldn't have paid. Simply because caving to an extortionist should have been something that was absolutely planned for ahead of time. And I know this sounds kind of insane when I say it, but all potential negative situations should have a contingency plan. Absolutely. And that's before an individual or an organization even decides to move forward with a plan as drastic as becoming a darknet vendor, considering who your adversaries are. And that's global law enforcement. Like, no doubt that the vast majority of the individuals or vendors who actually paid didn't do so to protect customer data, but rather did so because they were scared or didn't know what to do, and it was just them freaking out in the moment. So that said, we still have no idea what is actually happening behind the scenes of Incognito. And many of my kick-ass subscribers have offered some really interesting and logical ideas on what it is that could actually be going on behind all of this. Some of them ranging from law enforcement, busting the market and running it as of right now, trying to extort everyone, or that it's just the market being hacked, or having a rogue technical administrator decide to break bad and take over the site. All of them are definitely plausible, if nothing else. Either way, even if Incognito were to turn around and say refund everyone's money, hypothetically, including the vendors that paid the extortion fee, and refund all the buyers who had their deposits stolen, any semblance of credibility that the market had earned over time is very much destroyed. Credibility that the market had ever earned would be completely and utterly destroyed. It's already gone. At this point, their credibility is about as solid as a chocolate teapot, and even that is giving them way more credit than I think they actually deserve. And honestly, let's not forget the sheer audacity of using April Fool's Day as a cover. It's like they're just rubbing salt in the wound at this point. It's like the admin is getting off or pleasuring himself through the active deceit and betrayal of the users. One thing I can tell you for a fact is that it's not going to be so funny if it comes out.
Come on, those are mine. Anything you got belongs to me. You understand?
Later, that there was any kind of operational security mistake that the admin made, or whoever someone took over the site, that person made. If they face any type of incarceration or exposure of their real identity, it's going to be bad. You made a lot of enemies by doing all this kind of crazy stuff, and it's not good to be hunted by law enforcement, but it's also really bad to be hunted by law enforcement and criminals. So what are your thoughts on this? Is it possible for the market to come back from its current state? What do you think are the most critical takeaways from this? Stay safe out there. And if you've got any insider info on this mess or anything else related to the darknet in general that you think's interesting or you would want reported on, contact me on Jabber or via the communication methods on the channel page. If you want to maintain anonymity, hop onto Dread, hop onto my subreddit, which is Doing Fed Time, and give me a shout out there. I have a thread specifically designed for this. I'll keep you updated on this crazy saga if anything new arises. As always, thank you all, and I'll see you in the next video.